Doing today? Michael Zuber, one rental at a time. And yes, we're still here. Looks like a little cooler this morning, so it's going to be a fun run. Yesterday I didn't run on the beach. I actually ran right over there. There's a 5-story floor of steps. So I ran that 20 times. So I actually covered 100 floors, and my calves are killing me this morning. So just thought I would share that with you. When we're looking at the daily news today, there's a couple of things that jump out at me. First and foremost, I think the big questions for the week, and I think we're going to get a lot of this. I think we get CPI Tuesday, PPI Wednesday, but again, retail sales on Friday. Those are the big that's the big number of the week. I think every week has one thing that I look at specifically, and this week's going to be retail sales. I want to see what's going on with the consumer. I believe the kind of rush to consume, all of that is kind of behind us. So I think a lot of things could have peaked, and we're going to get a look at that together this week. So things I'm asking myself is, yes, of course, inflation is running hot. We have some things that we'll be facing for some time, like gas being the one that I'm looking at going, that's got more room to run. But again, I think the Fed might be right. I think, inflation is transitory. It may have peaked. We will see again starting Tuesday with follow-up on Wednesday. The one that I'm really looking at next is growth, right? We have seen a big snapback in GDP, both for the U.S. as the world. Has that peaked and thus will moderate going forward? Those are questions that will be important because, further growth or acceleration would obviously raise, the need for the Fed and other central banks to raise interest rates. And again, what do I got here? The average interest rate on a 30-year mortgage is now down to 2.9. I think it peaked at like 3.07, 3.08 a couple of weeks ago. So I think what the bond market is signaling to us is that growth is going to moderate. Right? It's not going to go negative. I don't think anybody's calling for it to go negative. It just won't be 6-7% as it's been here recently. So these are all signals that we should be taking advantage of. The other thing to talk about is rent, or what they call owner equivalent rent, is a big part of both CPI as well as PCE. There's some things that I think we need to realize is that prices or values or median, all those things, Case-Shiller, I think we've seen the largest increase. I think the last one came out at 15.3%. I do think it moderates. The housing slowdown is happening as I've talked about for several months now. But I don't think rent. I think rent has got more room to run. I think we're seeing a change in consumer behavior, both in location and desire. I think the old garden apartment is out and the single family home is in. And I think that is going to have an impact in the single family and rental market going forward. The last average rent I saw was $14.80, and these were single family homes. I think rent is going to be going up, which is good for landlords. But again, it could also goose inflation. So again, if you're doing one rental at a time, please consider 30-year fixed rate mortgages. Let's not add interest rate risk to our future. So where appropriate, get that 30-year money, especially if you can get it sub 3%. I mean, geez, that's a great rate. Next up, I got a question for you. Something that I was very shocked by is the cities with the largest increase in offers. Now, this is on a percentage, not an absolute number. And you really couldn't have two cities at different spectrums, at least in my opinion. I actually haven't been to one of these cities and only was in the other a couple of days. So this is what I found this morning. Cities with the largest growth in offers as a percentage. I dropped my paper. Number 1, Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Now, admittedly, I've never been to South Dakota, certainly never been to Sioux Falls, but I'm guessing there wasn't a lot of offers before, and now that has jumped, so it makes the percentage look higher. And then on the total opposite end, Honolulu, Hawaii. Go figure. Sioux Falls 1, Honolulu, Hawaii number 2. I wonder why that is. I mean, I wonder if Honolulu is seeing, out of state buyers coming in. What's really causing the influx of offers in Honolulu? I thought that was interesting. And then in the same article, it talked about 5 cities with over 1 million population. So these are the big boys. In no particular order: Orlando, Miami, Tucson, Nashville, and Baltimore have seen increased offers on an absolute basis, right? So the first one is percentage, and the next is an absolute number, which is always interesting to look at. Got to watch those statistics because they can be used against you. Another thing I saw today is Janet Yellen. Janet Yellen is talking about increase in corporate taxes, likely not being ready till 2022. This is interesting because she is looking to slam it through with the budget reconciliation, right, where it can go straight party lines. But she says it may not be ready till 2022. Also on that line, McDonald's is following Chipotle. McDonald's is looking to raise the average wage of their employees to $15 by the year of 2024. And believe me, if McDonald's does this, you're going to see other fast food chains have to raise minimum wage. Again, these are things that are coming in, right? $15 an hour, what is that? It's about $30,000 a year if you work full time. So not quite the living wage that people talk about, but certainly heading in the right direction. Next up, it is very clear that we're going to go through what people are now calling the Great Resignation, right? A lot of people are looking to quit their jobs and go elsewhere. As someone who used to interview and hire and grow teams, what I would tell you to focus on, if this is you, is what do you want? Too many people I talk to and interview only think about what they don't want, right? I don't like this. I don't like that. If you're going to be looking to resign here in the next 6 months or so, use this as an opportunity to find what you want. Ask yourself some hard questions. Go look for something that you will find joy in. Number 2, if it's only about money, right? If you're only looking to get a raise, you could always take an offer to your current employer and say, hey, will you match it or beat it or whatever you want? Don't forget, if you do get another job and you like the team, you sometimes can get them to match offers if you are valued in that. Next up, also don't settle. I think what we're going through in the next year or so is a great period to find that next thing, but we will be in a normal cycle in 9 to 12 months. The opportunities will be different. So use this time to make sure you find something that you enjoy. And then kind of the last couple of things I have for you. What is up with billionaires going to space? We talked about Jeff Bezos getting on a rocket ship, a month or 2 ago. And now we have Richard Branson jetting off to space, I think today. I got to ask you, if you're a billionaire, do you really think you'd strap yourself into a rocket and go out to space? I think I'd put on some Oculus headgear and just virtually get there, but I don't know. Would you go? I know I wouldn't go. Let me know below. I'd love to hear from you. Anybody up for strapping into a rocket? Again, you're a billionaire. Is this really what you want to be doing? Crazy. And then lastly, the thing I've been asking all week, I'd love to hear from you, is the bond market. The bond market is signaling it agrees with the Fed, that inflation is going to be coming down, but we've got to think about the consumer. What is going on with the consumer? That's why Friday's number retail sales is important. I just have this sneaky suspicion that Friday's retail sales will disappoint. Yes, I think the retail sales will disappoint, and that will be very interesting. So a couple of quick things. First and foremost, I failed to do this at the beginning. I want to congratulate someone else. Tom, congratulations. You've closed a deal. You're going to get it off. And yes, my arm is getting weak. Holding this phone is horrible. I should have brought a stand or something. But yes, Tom, congratulations on getting your deal. Once again, folks, you do not have to be one of my students. If you close a deal, I happily send you a card. You just need to get me your address. I need your address. So the other thing is I have a podcast, One Rental at a Time. This very channel does get spit off to a podcast with 3 episodes a day. It is called One Rental at a Time, and we are sitting at 980,000 listens. So we are just on the cusp of 1 million. If you want to be a part of the first 1 million, go check it out. I'd love to have you over there. All right, everybody, I'm going to put this down and call it a day because my arm really is hurting. This little phone gets heavy. Take care, everyone. Bye.